going to call the meeting to order for November 19th, 2019. If everybody could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just turned off.
Roll call. Mayor Racy,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Porter,
Here.
Councilman Miller,
Present.
Councilman Webster,
Here.
Councilman Dowd,
Here.
Councilwoman Skiff,
Here.
Councilman Wagner.
Here.
A quorum is present. Item number 1 is to approve the agenda.
Move to approve. Support. Dowd.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 2 is council minutes. 2A, regular meeting of November 5th, 2019.
Motion to approve. Second. Wagner.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 3A is approval of snow removal bid award to the second lowest bidder, United Resource, Livonia, Michigan, in the amount of $67,893 due to unforeseen circumstances with the lowest bidder.
Move to approve. Support.
Mr. Queen?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. I just wanted to comment a little bit on that. Tonight here, I have Mr. David Guth and his wife Jill from United Resources that he wanted to also say a few words to you. But we wanted to say thank you to him because he was gracious enough to cover for us when the other contractor had only completed half the work that was required from the last snowfall. So he was our current contractor before, so he stepped up to the plate for us and said, hey, I'll take care of it for you, and came right in and completed the job for us. So I just wanted to say a word of thanks to him and his company from out of United Resources from Livonia. But he'd like to come up and say a few words if you don't mind.
Good evening. Happy to be here. Good evening to the mayor, city council, the residents. I see we've got our police force with us and some other public servants as well. We take snow removal very seriously. We won't let you down. We're very proud to be on the team, and we'll make sure that these sidewalks, streets, and parking lots are safe for our public servants and for the residents of the city of Wayne. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? And I too want to thank you for stepping up and helping us out when we needed it last week, so I really appreciate that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Welcome.
Item 4 is ordinances and amendments. 4A is second reading and adoption of ordinance 2019-09, proposed amendments to Chapter 1024 sidewalks.
Motion to approve. Support.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 4B, first reading of proposed rezoning of 3158 South Wayne Road from B2 Neighborhood Business District to B3C Business Extensive District.
Motion to approve. Support.
Any questions? Okay. Ms. Goen, would you like to come on up?
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. The proposed property you have in front of you is 3158 South Wayne Road, the former Jack Sporting Goods. The property is currently zoned B2 Neighborhood Business. The petitioner was requesting to have it switched to B3. B3 would allow for custom work, and that's exactly what he's going to be doing. So we did consult with Smith Group that's doing our master plan redo and ask them that they felt that this would be acceptable or wouldn't be considered spot zoning, as north side is B3. The zoning over there is kind of jumbled, so to speak. They felt it would be appropriate. The only concern that we did have about that B3 zoning was the fact that it did allow for automotive uses. As part of the Planning and Enabling Act, if an individual who's a petitioner comes forward and offers conditions as part of the rezoning, it's up to the council to accept those conditions. We cannot impose conditions on a petitioner. He did indicate that he would only utilize the property for the aforementioned, which is the reupholstering of furniture. The gentleman will also be bringing some custom cabinets in. They will not be made on site, they'll be made off site, but he'll have a retail showroom. So he's doing something very similar to what was done when Jack's was there. He's making a product in the back and selling it at retail in the front. The difference here is it's more of commercial in nature because it is reupholstering furniture. The Planning Commission did hold a public hearing on November 12th. Kim White Jenkins was present. It was very nice. She was welcomed them to the community. There were no objections, so therefore the administration is recommending approval.
Mr. Blackwell, did you still have a question?
Thank you, Mayor Racy. Ms. Goen pretty much answered my question. I was just wondering, with this business, are they going to be using any type of chemicals that would require any type of filtration system because the neighborhood over there? Thank you.
As with any type of business, they will go through the zoning process. Therefore, they will work with Paul Vaughn, our building official. If there are any type of chemicals that he would use, Paul would make sure that they are being stored properly or there was a ventilation system in place. I don't know definitely if he's going to be using a lot of chemicals, but it will be caught upon the inspection process.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 4C, first reading of proposed revisions to the zoning ordinance regarding vehicle sales.
Wish of council.
Move to approve.
Support, Dowd. Mr. Byton, do you want to come on up?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Today you have before you, or this evening you have before you, the first reading of ordinance amendments for car sales. As you know, we've had in place a moratorium for several months so that we could work on amendments to our vehicle sales ordinance. During this time, we've worked with John Jackson from McKenna and Associates. Lori Goen, our community development director, and myself have worked with him to try and, we explained to him our position, what we were trying to look for, and he put together a set of amendments that are before you tonight. Once those were developed, we went to the Planning Commission, and we held a public hearing there. There were no comments from the public. There were questions from the Planning Commission. We worked through those, and at the end, they decided to bring this recommendation forward to the city council through us, Lori and myself. So in general, what this looks like on the screen here is we're going to consolidate vehicle sales from 700 feet west of Howe Road. That's approximately where Jeff Benson's used car auto is, over to Merriman Road. So both on the north and south side of Michigan Avenue, from 700 feet west of Howe Road to Merriman Road is where used car businesses will be concentrated. The changes here should not affect any used car business. We wanted to make that clear. They do, however, try and focus, they require vehicle sales moving forward to be in that area that we've just discussed. Lori, do you have anything you'd like to add there?
Just a couple housekeeping items. I know this is a very large packet. Mike pretty much summed this up in a nutshell. And just so you all know, as Mike mentioned, the Planning Commission did have some good questions, and anything that they had requested had already been incorporated, fortunately, so we were able to cover that for them. The best part about this is we have two businesses outside of the district currently that are used car sales, one at Pershing in Michigan and one down towards Hannon in Michigan. If those were to change owners, within 6 months, the use can change. If it's after 6 months, the use goes away, it's no longer a legal conforming use. So we wanted to make sure that the same would apply in the actual target area that we spoke of. If someone sold their business, we want to make sure that the same business has the ability to move in there. If a new business wanted to come in outside of that area, we would require a minimum 2-acre lot size. So therefore, if Jack Dermer was to expand, they're already more than 2 acres, or if someone bought a very large parcel of land, assembled some land on Michigan Avenue, and they wanted to put a new dealership in there, as long as they met the requirements in the new ordinance of it being 2 or more acres, they would have the ability to locate in that district. So we feel this is very fair, and it includes our existing businesses, and it also addresses the concerns that I have heard several of you bring forward as part of your comments to me through emails or in person. So we can take any questions. This is just a first reading tonight. And it's also a public hearing. So I know you'll open the public hearing, and then Mike and I can take any questions.
Do we just want to open it then? Do we need a motion to open? We didn't have it listed on the thing. We don't have it listed as a public hearing.
No, we don't.
Okay.
It's just a first reading, so
Okay.
we need to follow through with the motion
Well,
from Councilman
yeah, that's what I
Miller,
thought.
seconded
Okay.
by
Any other
Yeah,
questions from council?
question, mainly just for clarification. So if this is enacted, the current dealers, they're grandfathered in, so to speak. They don't have to conform to this unless they sell their business after 6 months? Is that the way it goes?
There are a couple criteria that cause the ordinance to kick in for existing business of any kind. Those criteria that are well established are if a building has been vacant for 6 months or more, or if it has been burned more than 51% or more. Those two then require the property to come into its current zoning use. So short of those, the businesses can stay going for any length of time.
Any other questions?
Mayor Racy to the chair. And this is just also with Councilman Wagner's question. There is in the proposed policy, and he indicated that some of them, of it is grandfathered in. I'm looking at letter F. Fences are prohibited to be installed except in the rear yard area as defined in the ordinance and being behind the rear wall of any building on a lot. If I do remember correctly, there is a few of the auto sales lots that do have fencing in the front. So those are grandfathered in. Is that my understanding?
Anything in its current condition is grandfathered in, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody from the audience? All in favor? Oops.
Aye.
Hold on. You're okay? Opposed? Motion carries. Sorry about that, I didn't see you.
Item 5 is general items. 5A, approval of emergency management resolution and support emergency operations plan.
Wish of council?
Move to approve.
Support.
Okay. Chief, would you like to come on up here and talk to?
Thank you, Mayor.
I didn't recognize you at first with that mustache.
Movembers. You can donate via our Facebook.
There you go.
Thank you. See, I gave you an opportunity.
Right
This is simply an updated version of the plan council approved 3 years ago in the event of a natural disaster or pandemic or something like that. Allows us to work with Wayne County, receive federal funds and whatnot. And just kind of just shows the, the points of contacts in various departments.
Any questions from council? Any questions from the audience? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 5B, approval of revised MDOT resolution designating Ed Queen, DPW Director, as Maintenance Superintendent on the section of State Trunk Line Highway as shown on municipal route section map and budget sheets, and authorizes mayor and city clerk to sign the agreement.
Move to approve.
Support.
Any questions? Any questions from the audience? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 5C, approval of professional service agreement with Testing Engineers and Consultants Incorporated to provide bridge box, beam water intrusion, and verification testing for John Hicks Bridge in the amount of $4,700.
Move to approve.
Support, Dowd.
Mr. Byton, would you like to come on and explain this? Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we have a bridge deck replacement project headed for this next construction season. We've been working hard on the plans. Stantec, our engineering consultant, has been working hard on the plans for us. And as part of this process, we go through a state review of the plans. It's called a grade inspection meeting where we sit with them. And as we were going through this meeting, the MDOT representative noted that on a bridge deck replacement on Telegraph Road, not too long ago, similar type of project, they found water in the beams, and that was a very big deal. That changed that project totally from almost a bridge deck replacement to from a bridge deck replacement project to almost a bridge replacement. That's a much different project. And so, based on the state's reviewer recommending to us that we test our beams to see if they have water in them before we start this project, we worked with Stantec to find a local consultant that could do this kind of work for us. And TEC has worked on some of our other engineering projects in the past, so we do have some confidence in them. So they have proposed to us to do this intrusion study to make sure we don't have water in our beams. What's important to note is that the bridge is safe. We do biennial inspections, so we know that John Hicks Bridge is in good shape other than the deck surface that we're trying to replace. This is one of those type of projects, though, when you start to get into the project, if you see other things that aren't right, then you need to fix those or address those, and we're just not set up to address more of a bridge replacement project at this time. So it's prudent for us to understand what we have existing out there. So if there is no water, we're going to move forward with our deck replacement project like we hoped. If we did find that in there, we would kind of step back temporarily, resubmit for a different kind of a grant, for a larger grant, to do more of a bigger project. This John Hicks Bridge is not that old. I have video of this bridge, and one of the reasons I remember it so well is because an excavator went plop right into the Rouge River during construction of the bridge, and so, but, sorry. So I know it's not that old. We really don't think there's water in the beams, but again, it's a prudent measure to make sure, because if for some reason there was, that would turn this into a different project.
Any questions from council? Mike, I just have one quick question. So is there like a rule of thumb on when you check this kind of stuff, just to, like to check this if on other bridges? Is it a normal 10 years, 20 years type of thing?
When you say 10 years, 20 years for the length of the replacement, or?
Just checking to see if there's issues with water in the cement?
So, We do a biennial inspection every other year. There are certain things that would show up generally, but they didn't in this other project that the state had pointed out to us. So we don't anticipate water in there for any length of time. Hopefully the bridge is constructed well, and then with the new bridge deck replacement that'll be sealed once the new bridge deck is on, that should further prevent water from getting into the beams if there are none. So we should be able to extend that life quite a long time.
Okay, great. Any questions? Questions from the audience? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
5D is approval of proclamation in support of Diabetes Awareness Month.
Move to approve.
Support, Dowd.
Would you like to read that for us? Thank you.
November 2019 Diabetes Awareness Proclamation. Whereas the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention estimate more than 30.3 million adults and children in the United States have diabetes, and an estimated 84.1 million adults and children in the United States have diabetes, and an estimated 84.1, oops, I had a typo, sorry, moving on. Whereas an estimated 870,000 Michigan adults have been diagnosed with diabetes. Over 2.7 million adults across the state are estimated to have prediabetes. Diabetes remains the 7th leading cause of death in the U.S. and Michigan, and research shows that people at high risk for diabetes can lower their risk for type 2 diabetes by staying at a healthy weight, eating well, and being active. Uncontrolled diabetes puts people at risk for serious complications, including cardiovascular disease, blindness, kidney disease and dialysis, and nerve damage and amputation. Learning how to self-manage this condition through diabetes self-management education is the cornerstone of treatment, and best practice guidelines to treat diabetes include, but are not limited to, insulin, oral medication, diet, physical activity, and daily self-management routines. Now therefore, I, Mayor John P. Racy, and the Wayne City Council do hereby proclaim support of the month of November 2019 as Diabetes Awareness Month in the City of Wayne, and encourage all citizens to increase awareness of the risk factors for diabetes by making healthy lifestyle choices and by providing support to those suffering from diabetes.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Um, 5E is approval of proposed contract with Signature Associates to provide broker services for the marketing and sale of the Wayne Recreation Building.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Kevin, Dowd. Dowd.
Do we have any questions? Do you want to come on up?
Thank you, Mayor Racy. As you may know, some of you may not know, the contract with Hype Recreation Center is up next year. When we signed the contract with them, they did sign an agreement. It's called a right of first refusal. And what that means is at the end of their contract, they have the first right to purchase the building. In order for the city to really get a fair price, we've had 2 appraisals done on the building, and we, through the advice of our new city attorneys, they suggested that it would not be wise to just offer the building to the current manager to purchase, that we needed to do our due diligence. We needed to go out and try and get the highest, best use and the best offer on this property. So therefore, the Property Disposition Committee, which is myself, Mayor Pro Tem Porter, Mayor Racy, and City Manager met. We decided to send proposals out to ask for real estate services to assist us in selling this building. How this will work is, say, John Smith comes in and offers, I'm making up a number, $7 million. I'm totally making up a number. That would be a dream. John Smith comes in and he says, I'll buy it for $7 million. And I'm going to close in 30 days, and it's a cash sale. We then would have to go to the current operator and say that this is the offer that's on the table, $7 million cash. Again, it's fictitious. And he's going to close in 30 days. If he says, I got it. I can do the same thing, then it's his building. He has the right to do that. That's how the right of first refusal comes in. He would then become the new owner of the building. I think many of you know that we do have bond debt on this building. And it would be the goal of this council, as I've talked to all of you and the administration, that we are able to dissolve this debt when we sell the building. So we are going to recommend that we contract with Signature and Associates. They did come in with a tremendous amount of experience in municipal as well as sales with the school district. There was one other bidder. The other bidder was CBRE. They didn't have really any local references or projects. It's a very well-known commercial firm, but they didn't have the number of contacts that I felt and the committee felt that Signature had. The only difference was the commission rate. So I reached out to Signature and asked them if they would be willing, if we selected them, if they would be willing to lower their commission rate. And they were happy to do that. So they lowered their commission rate if it's a direct sale of the building to only 4.5% commission. If it's a co-broker, it'll only be 5.5% commission, which is actually really low. So, and imagine that commission on $7 million, right? But anyway, again, it's fictitious. I have to say it for all the people out there. But that's basically what you have before you this evening, is we're asking if we can enter into this contract and sit down with Signature and try and get the highest and best use for this building. And I can take any questions, Mayor.
Any questions from the council? Ms. Bunnick?
Durham Bunnick, Wayne. These two questions are going to go hand in hand. Could we have an approximate bond debt owing on this particular piece of property? And if we're entering into a contract with this broker, possibly you already know what the suggested list price might be for this piece of property. What are we going to be asking for this piece of property? Thank you.
City manager?
Sure, I can answer the first question. I'll let Lori answer the second one. The first question, right now, we owe $1 million in bond payments on it. However, if we wait until next year, the next bond payments due in October, we will owe $1.2 million because of the interest. There's about $238,000 worth of interest on that building as well.
So we actually have a meeting scheduled tomorrow to sit down and discuss Signature's marketing plan, their plan of attack, and their recommended listing price. So we do not have that yet. That'll be tomorrow afternoon, if you approve tonight.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 5F is approval of purchase agreement for the sale of the former building and engineering building located at 4001 South Wayne Road in the amount of $160,000. I put before you corrected pages 2 and 4 had a typo in the address. Those have been corrected.
Move to approve.
Support, Dowd.
Any questions? Any council questions? Okay. Mr. Blackwell?
Thank you, Mayor Racy. Just a couple things. To my understanding from talking to some of the mature folks that have been living in Wayne for a number of years, back many years ago, they used to be the site of the Sinclair Oil Company. And I was wondering, do we know, are there any underground storage tanks that are currently on the property? And does the potential buyer know of any possible environmental issues that would hinder this sale? So, they don't come back and say, we need some money for a cleanup. I don't know the exact terminology, forgive me for that, but I was just told by, to my understanding, it used to be a Sinclair Oil Company, and I just want to know what the city's liability is in that. Thank you.
Lori?
There are documents that are included in the purchase agreement that talk about, I'm sorry, I don't have the word in front of me, that talk about the conditions that are in the building, and I can share that at the next meeting if you'd allow me to do that. I don't want to speak to something I'm not positive on. But there are documents in there, but it is the responsibility of the purchaser to do their due diligence. And if he chooses to do a Phase 1 environmental, that would be on him. As far as if there's tanks there, to my knowledge, he's not going to be disturbing the land. If he was going to disturb the land, then yes, absolutely. He'd have to do his Phase 1. If something came back, he would do his Phase 2 environmental. The only way he could come back to us to ask for any assistance would be through the brownfield. If he decided he wanted to do $1 million renovation and add on to that building, increase the taxable value, then it would be in the city's best interest at that time to consider allowing him to do that addition and reimbursing him any cleanup costs that he would have. Again, this is all fictitious. It's a potential scenario. I don't know if there's, what type of contamination, if there is contamination, so I'd prefer to answer that at the next meeting if I can.
I know nobody likes to deal in hypotheticals. I was just wondering, I was just thinking, would this require, say, like a clearance from the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, now known as EGLE? And I was also wondering exactly how much we have in tax dollars into that building, because if you and council would recall, we had to replace, put metal doors in, windows, the fiber optic stuff, the transitioning all the communication lines over to City Hall. I appreciate the information.
Okay.
I don't have the exact amount that what we've put into it so far. I do apologize, but again, if he's just going to go in and occupy the building, utilize it as he plans to as warehouse space, there's no need for any type of clearance. He's not disturbing any soil. He's not doing anything that would trigger them to come in. We did shore up the windows and the doors because anybody who bought that would be able to gain access to the DPW yard. And I apologize, I do not have the number with me this evening, but I can prepare that as well for the next meeting. Are we going to have back and forth constantly, or you want me to go ahead and answer that, Mayor?
You can answer that.
Okay, thank you. This gentleman's name is Abe. He owns Abe Charhauer Investments. The front will be a showroom, and the back will be for warehousing.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. All in favor? You want to do a roll call vote on this, I guess?
Okay, so the roll call will be for the approval of the purchase agreement for the sale of the former building and engineering building, 4001 South Wayne Road. Mayor Pro Tem Porter,
Yes.
Councilman Miller,
Yes.
Councilman Webster,
Yes.
Councilwoman Skiff,
Yes.
Councilman Wagner,
Yes.
Councilman Dowd,
Yes.
Mayor Racy.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next item that we have is an added item of 5G, approval of resolution proposing a charter amendment and ballot proposal to amend Wayne City Charter, Section 10.1, subsection I, to extend the millage for police and fire services for an additional 6 years.
Wish of council.
Motion to approve. Support.
If the city attorney can kind of explain, I'll give you an opportunity for the whole next little section of stuff.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is one of several charter amendments that up for the council's consideration to submit for the March ballot. In March 2020, there's going to be a presidential primary. There's going to be a Detroit Institute of Arts tax measure. And so it is, these measures would join those on the ballot. We had a workshop last week where many of these items were discussed. I guess to sum it up, this is the first one would be the extension of the police and fire millage. Initially, the most recent addition was 5 years. So rather than propose an additional 5 years because of the way that the city has their elections in even numbered years, we propose 6 years. The second one, which would be item H, would be to revise the charter to change the mayoral term from a 2-year term to a 4-year term, and that would commence after the November 2020 election, so it would not extend or reduce any terms of office. And then in I, J, and K, there was some discussion whether setting the meeting, whether it would be best to set the meeting times at a range of times, or just setting it for a time certain. That's in the charter that the meetings are the first and third Tuesdays at 8 p.m. So I just put 3 different proposals for your consideration. You're certainly free to amend them if it's the wish of council. But, the idea would be that once you find one that you settle on, then you would just pass that one and then not pass the other 2. So the first one is for that the city council meetings would commence between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. The second is 6:30 and 8 p.m. And then the third would be just changing the time from 8 p.m. to 7 p.m. So those are the next several items for council consideration.
Okay. Any questions from the council?
Mayor Racy, through the chair, will we need to vote separately on each of these ballot proposals?
Yes.
Just want to verify that. Thank you.
Any other questions? Any questions from the audience? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and vote on G. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
So it'd be item H now.
Still need to do a roll call vote, or is it?
Let's do a roll
I
call.
think
just to
that,
make
yeah.
Just to be safe. Do we have roll calls on all of these?
Okay, so this roll call will be for item 5, G.
I got a quick question. In the language, does it say renewal?
The proposed language is in the resolution. Let's see. To permit the extension of the levy by the city of an ad valorem tax in an amount not to exceed 1 mil for 6 additional years.
Okay.
So it states that it is an extension.
Okay, I just
Because the current levy was, I think, voted on in 2014, so it's getting ready to expire.
okay, I just wanted to make sure everybody realized it was a renewal. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, and so this has to be passed by a 3/5 vote, which is super majority, at least 5. So Mayor Pro Tem Porter,
Yes.
Councilman Miller,
Yes.
Councilman Webster,
Yes.
Councilwoman Skiff,
Yes.
Councilman Wagner,
Yes.
Councilman Dowd,
Yes.
and Mayor Racy.
Yes.
That's unanimous. Okay, so then 5H being approval of resolution proposing a charter amendment and ballot proposal to amend Wayne City Charter, Section 6.3, to provide for a 4-year mayoral term.
Wish of council.
Move to approve.
Support, Dowd.
Any questions on this one? Any questions from the audience? Okay, roll call vote.
Okay, again, this is for the 4-year mayoral term. Motion by Skiff, seconded by Dowd. Mayor Pro Tem Porter,
Yes.
Councilman Miller,
Yes.
Councilman Webster,
Yes.
Councilwoman Skiff,
Yes.
Councilman Wagner,
Yes.
Councilman Dowd,
Yes.
Mayor Racy.
Yes.
Okay, that one's unanimous as well. Okay, so 5I, approval of resolution proposing a charter amendment and ballot proposal to amend city charter section 7.1 to provide for different times. This was the one for the range of 6 and 8 p.m.
Move to approve.
Support.
Okay, any questions on this one? Okay. Ms. Bunnick?
I'm a little confused. I attended both your study sessions, so I'm familiar with what you're talking about here in this language. I'm thinking of this on the ballot and how this is going to be confusing to the voter. That we're going to give you a rate, that we're not really setting the time. We're going to approve that you set the time between 6 and 8 p.m., correct? Can we agree on a time, like 7 p.m. or 6 p.m. or 7:30, and make all of those separate in there, so you'd just be voting on a time and not a range of time? I'm just thinking this, you can do what you want. If I see this on the ballot, I'm not quite sure I'm gonna vote for it. And then, our attorney mentioned you have to pick one. You have to pick one, or we have to pick? I don't understand where the picking comes.
Could I answer that, Mr. Mayor?
Sure.
Based on the input at the study session, it was unclear to me whether the council wanted to move it to a particular time, like moving the meetings from 8 to 7, or there was discussion of a range where the council wanted the ability to have a range of times, and then when they set the board rules for the following term, they could set the meeting time then. But the range would give them the ability in this first resolution to set the meetings anywhere from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So I understand it would be more clear for the voters just to move the meeting times from 8 to 7.
Exactly.
But it was a concern of mine to address the council's stated desire to perhaps have some sort of range. So, but it goes on the ballot, and then the citizens vote for it.
All three of these?
No, there would be one, but I wanted to offer the range of, options for council this evening, and then if the council decides to pass one of these, that would be on the March ballot, if all goes well, and then if the citizens don't support it, then the time will remain the same.
That clears it up. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Bosniak.
You're welcome.
Okay, Mr. Sanders?
To go along with that statement, or that question, could we have in the ballot, I'm all right with the range, however, because I know there's a need to do earlier meetings. However, could you have in the language that council will select, and it's apt to change, say, every 4 years, or that they will, because the fear would be that we're going to change it at 7 o'clock this year, and then it's going to be 6 o'clock next year, then it's going to be 7:30, and there's going to be mass confusion, because for so many years, council starts at 8 o'clock. And and often, I'm not saying that this board would do that, I'm suggesting, though, that sometimes if there's something tight on the agenda, that maybe there might be some confusion about when, so people don't show up at meetings, it could happen that we're going to change the meeting from this time to this time, weekly or monthly or whatever, and I would like to have that spelled out in the actual ballot language, if possible.
Mr. Osborne?
Through the mayor to you. Why don't we just, if we're gonna make a choice, we already have tonight, which is 8 o'clock, right? So that's, okay. But here, you have a choose between 6 and 8. So that's a confusing item to put on a ballot for John Doe like me. So I either put it on there as 8 o'clock. Here we are, 8 o'clock at night. Now, if you want to have a variable, I don't think we should have these variables between 6:30 and 8. You either put it on what is the starting time of the city council, period. Period. We have a lot of confusion of documents, when records are kept, when we start, Records Retention Act, when we have these, we cannot have something so confusing. So you either start the meeting at 6, 7, or 8. Make the choice. Don't confuse the public anymore. We've been here, and you've got half an audience here, and you will have them. As soon as you start doing, you're going to start easing out the public like it was before. So don't make it transparent so we can see it. It's 8 o'clock tonight, and if you got something real special, then you go ahead and call a special meeting, of which you'll need 3 people, right, on an amendment, right? So make it simple, please.
Okay, any other questions?
I'd like to comment on that. It was my idea to put the range in originally. The idea being that each council every 2 years could, when they are naming a pro tem and voting on a mayor pro tem, that they could also vote on the time that the council agreed upon to start. I don't have a problem with naming a specific time if that's what the majority of council wishes. It was just an idea to give council a little more leeway in when the starting time happened.
Any other discussion from council?
Mayor Racy, through the chair. It brings up a good point. When you think about the candidates that are running and they understand what their obligation will be, except for the time they need to show up at a council meeting. And that may be an issue. Because, you know what, Anthony Miller works from 9 to 6. But guess what? This council could choose to start their meetings at 6:30. That might make it difficult for that council member or candidate to fulfill their obligation. So, you know, that just came to my mind, you know. And another thing that is troubling for me is that it's been 8 o'clock since over the past 50 years. It's well-established time. The residents know what time to be here. Candidates will know what their obligations will be when they file. You know, I feel all these proposals, I want to leave those decisions to the public. But, you know, that's just my personal opinion about this proposal in particular.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, roll call vote.
Okay, so there was a motion by Councilwoman Skiff, seconded by Webster, for the charter amendment for the range of time between 6 and 8 p.m. Mayor Pro Tem Porter,
No?
Councilman Miller,
Yes.
Councilman Webster,
Yes.
Councilwoman Skiff,
Yes.
Councilman Wagner,
Yes.
Councilman Dowd,
No.
Mayor Racy.
Wow, this is fun. Yes.
That's the 5 votes. Motion carries.
So I guess at this point, Mr. Mayor, if I could just chime in on this, I guess I would ask the clerk to just consider moving the agenda and see if there's any support for the following 2 resolutions. I would imagine that there probably won't be since they voted on Resolution I, and then just move the agenda that way.
Okay, so we will move on to item 5J. which was the approval of resolution proposing a charter amendment and ballot proposal to amend the Wayne City Charter, Section 7.1, to provide for different times for the commencement of regular city council meetings between 6:30 PM and 8 PM.
Wish the council?
This amendment item fails due to lack of support. And item 5K, approval of resolution proposing a charter amendment and ballot proposal to amend Wayne City Charter, Section 7.1, to provide for the different times for commencement of regular city council meetings at 7 PM.
Wish the council?
I have a question. Are you allowed to vote yes on two of them or no? If you voted yes on the one, you can't vote yes on another one, correct?
You could,
But it would create a.
you could.
Well, we'd have to then we'd have to go between the two, correct?
Motion made.
There's, already, Mr. Mayor, if I could just try to address the question of Councilwoman Skiff. So I passed, that's going to go to the governor's office to go on the ballot in March. If council also wanted to pass K, that would be an additional ballot initiative. So you'd have two ballot initiatives proposing charter amendments, one of which would offer the range, and K would offer the 7 PM. And then they would both go in front, the voters in March would decide on both of them, and then whichever one prevails by the most votes would
Okay.
prevail.
So you want to get, if we can have a motion, if there's a motion for this?
But it would need 5 yes votes.
Right.
So there would have to be a motion, and
If you want to have, if we want to have discussion, I just need a motion to
I
open.
motion.
I'll support it.
Okay.
I'm sorry, who was the support?
So, to the attorney, so could you, is it possible if the council chose to have a question where you gave them two options of the 6 to 8 and then the 7, and they choose one or the other?
those would be two separate ballot initiatives. They would each be yes or no ballot initiatives.
So you couldn't combine the two to give them a choice because it's not, because it's currently 8?
No.
No.
Yes or no?
But I mean, could you make it into one, is what I'm asking?
Not as presently constituted. I mean, if there were 5 votes to pass K, then you would have 2 ballot initiatives on the ballot in March, each of which would deal with changing the.
No, I'm
times of the meeting.
just asking the question, if you asked to change the time of the meeting, you gave them A or B, which would you rather have? The 6 to 8 or 7, and people chose that way? But I mean, I know it's not written that way. I'm
Yeah,
just
that would
asking
be,
it from her.
yeah, it's not written that way right now. It'd be kind of difficult to craft, because then you're giving people 3 options.
Right.
Option A, option B, or neither.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Any other questions from the council? Any questions from council?
Mr. Mayor, if I could, through the chair, if people, through the council, decided they like this initiative too, could they then rescind their votes? Someone who is in the affirmative, rescind their vote on the prior motion and not get the 5-vote majority to approve this 7 o'clock start, if they wanted to? They can rescind their vote by a motion.
at this meeting,
Sure.
I think it's passed.
But you can reconsider.
Madam Clerk?
I would refer to the city attorney. I agree with what you're saying.
At a future meeting, they could?
But at that point, the ballot language would have already gone to the governor, because
Really, it's a non-issue then.
well, I don't want to
You
say
certainly
that,
don't want to have 2 ballot issues.
and I don't want to
asking
get
the
in
same thing on the same
I don't
ballot.
want to get into a debate either.
Mayor Racy, through the chair.
Yeah.
Let's get something clear here. Okay, we got 2 separate ballot proposals. One is for a variance of between 6:30 and 8. Okay, or 6 and 8. The second proposal on the same issue is to start the meeting at 7. Pointed out, now what if both of those proposals pass? Now, what does the community follow? So then there is going to be, so then you're going to go as a runner-up of the two passing proposals on what time to start a meeting?
This is currently just being entertained because so we can have the discussion, because two council members want to talk. Doesn't mean it's going to pass yet.
Okay. I guess, Mr. Mayor, if I could try to answer Councilman Miller's question, it'd be the one that passed with the most votes would govern.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, do you want a roll call vote, or you want to rescind your motion? Want to vote, or want to vote?
My motion was Kelly's.
You don't want to rescind, okay. Okay, go ahead and the roll call.
Okay, so this roll call vote is for the approval of the proposing a charter amendment and ballot proposal for the regular meetings to begin at 7 PM. Motion by Councilwoman Skiff, supported by Porter. Mayor Pro Tem Porter,
No.
Councilman Miller,
Yes.
Councilman Webster,
No.
Councilwoman Skiff,
Yes.
Councilman Wagner,
Yes.
Councilman Dowd,
Yes.
Mayor Racy.
No.
That motion fails.
We're already done.
Yes.
Yeah, we just, I asked for questions. Yeah, it's already, we're past it. We already voted. There's nothing to talk about. No, there's not. Sorry, please, we're already done.
Nowhere do we have just 8 o'clock in here.
Yeah, we understand. If it fails, it's going to be 8 o'clock. Okay.
Item 5L was approval of Thanksgiving proclamation.
Move to approve.
Support.
Would you like me to read this?
Yes, please.
Thanksgiving proclamation for the city of Wayne. Whereas many of us, the meaning of Thanksgiving usually includes feasting, 4-day weekends, football games, family reunions, or a forerunner to Christmas festivities. The first Thanksgiving, however, was neither a feast nor a holiday, but simple gathering following the Mayflower's arrival at Plymouth Rock on December 11th, 1620. Over the centuries, families have added their own customs to Thanksgiving celebration, preserving that which they hold most precious. To gather in unity, it is refreshing and invigorating when people come together in celebration of a common purpose. It is reconciliation of differences as well as a time of healing. In sharing our victories as well as our struggles, we find strength and hope. To teach the young in stories retold, each generation brings purpose and significance to the richness of their heritage. Faded pictures, sentimental knickknacks, even the prayer of Thanksgiving before a meal, all form Thanksgiving family legacy. To prepare the heart, in gratitude we humbly reflect upon all gifts, family, friends, health, that saturate our lives. By giving thanks, we choose to extend ourselves and give to others less fortunate. Out of the abundance of our hearts, we are able to offer our resources to help others. Now therefore, I, Mayor John P. Racy, and the Wayne City Council do hereby wish each and every Wayne City resident and those they hold dear a safe, healthy, and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 6 is administration reports.
City Manager?
Through the chair. I have quite a few items tonight. The first one is, there was a claim about violating the Open Meetings Act brought up to a council member regarding the last meeting when the council went into closed session. I'm going to have the attorney, if that's okay, provide some clarification.
Thank you. May I address this, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Yes, I think there was a question on the meeting, last meeting. The council went in a closed session. There was not a motion of support, but there was a roll call vote, and the roll call was unanimous. Open Meetings Act at MCL 15.267 indicates that you only need a 2/3 roll call vote to go into closed session. There doesn't need to be a motion or a second. I believe there was a handbook put out by the state of Michigan that indicated that there should have been a motion in closed session. So we contacted one of the senior assistant attorney generals and indicated to them that there may be a incongruity with their handbook and the state law, and they've agreed to amend their handbook. So I guess we made history at the last meeting, or there's going to be new language in the state handbook thanks to the Wayne City Council meeting last session. So I appreciate you bringing that to our attention.
On the map.
Thanks, Mike. I just wanted to provide some clarification about something that was stated at the last meeting. I talked to the clerk about this. I think it was just a miscommunication, but there was a statement made at the last meeting by a member of council about the distribution of minutes from a meeting not following protocol. And just to clarify, the city clerk sent an email to the council at 10:56 a.m. on September 17th, 2019, prior to the council meeting that evening, with amended meeting minutes from September 3rd, 2019. From that meeting. The city clerk stated in the email that she also put a copy in everyone's seat, meaning that she placed the amended minutes at council seats the morning of September 17th, 2019, and that was the September 3rd, 2019 amended minutes. So everyone had a corrected copy for the meeting, both via email and when they got to their seats. It was stated that city clerk sent the meeting minutes after the September 17th, 2019 meeting at 10:56 p.m., when they were actually sent again the morning of September 17th, 2019 at 10:56 a.m. So no protocol was violated and procedures were followed correctly. I just wanted to make sure that we followed up on that. Before I get to the staff updates, I wanted to announce that as you know, we have an IT and cybersecurity assessment going on at the city, and it's going actually quite well. We've caught a lot of issues that are being addressed now, and the money's being well spent, or the money was well spent. But one good thing is that I believe it was several months ago, I had applied earlier this year for partial reimbursement for the cybersecurity portion of it through the Michigan Municipal Risk Management Association, which is our insurance carrier. They denied it. They didn't think that it was an insurance risk, so I rewrote it again. And I also pointed out across the country how cities and communities are being held basically hostage for ransom of anywhere from $500,000 all the way up to millions of dollars, and they're actually paying it. These individuals do not care what the size of your city is, what size the budget is. They just want the money, and they have a lot of power in controlling a lot of your information flow. So I pushed back again, and the maximum you can receive is 50%, but we did receive $5,000 back of the $10,000 for the cybersecurity assessment by pursuing and being persistent. So if that's not a security, an insurance risk, I don't know what is. So I was pleased that MMRMA actually took that grant back and did award it recently. So we did get the maximum reimbursement back. There was a question at the last meeting about the update on the master plan update survey and the master plan update where we're at, and I'm going to have, it's okay, have Ms. Gowan address that question, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, through the chair. The master plan process is going along great. I believe the question had to do with the survey. Basically what will happen now is the information, the survey has closed, the information from the survey has been incorporated into a draft of a master plan, which will be presented to the administration at the end of November, beginning of December. After it's reviewed, it will be sent to the Planning Commission for review, and then it would come to the City Council after that. So we're looking at January, February before you see the end result.
Thank you. I'm going to have Ed Queen come up. Ed, there was a question about the water quality at the last meeting.
Good evening again. Just one of the council had also asked, and so my response to the council when I had heard about it was that the City of Wayne community did well. None of the results for the lead and copper sampling that was conducted in the City of Wayne exceeded the state's required action level. So everything came back okay for our community, even though there were some other communities that had gone over that action level. So.
Thanks, Ed.
All right.
Chief, if you would come up, there was a question about, there was a request to discuss the snow emergency procedures. Just as a reminder, unfortunately, we had a major storm in between meetings.
We sure did.
But if you could do a quick refresher,
We
sir.
sure did, thank you. First of all, I would say, if it's snowing, regardless of whether somebody's called a snow emergency, help out our fine workers at DPW and just get your vehicle off the street. It's a lot easier for them to plow, regardless of whether or not we've declared a snow emergency. But if we have declared a snow emergency, we'll certainly put it on the police department's Facebook page. We send it out to the local news, and we send it out to Nixle if you're signed up for that. Once we've declared a snow emergency, typically we're going to give you at least a few hours notice. We'll say it's going to be declared at 5 o'clock or whatever. You have to get your vehicle off the street immediately. You can be ticketed immediately once the snow emergency is called. So say the snow emergency is called at 9 p.m. tonight. If your vehicle's on the street at 9:01, you can get a ticket. Once you receive the ticket, you have 4 hours to move your vehicle off the street or it could be towed. We're not always going to do that just due to manpower concerns, but your vehicle could be towed 4 hours after you receive the ticket. That about covers it.
And Chief, is it correct, we issued 21 citations in the last storm?
That is correct, and we did not tow any vehicles.
Yes.
The vehicles were moved.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I know we have the Library Director Jody here this evening who has an update.
Hi, thank you very much. I just wanted to take a moment and let everyone know that the library's winter newsletter is available. There's some copies out in the hall on the brochure racks, and I'll be out there after the meeting handing them out, whether you want them or not. They're also at the library, and of course, all of the events are on the library's online calendar on our website. I want to take just a moment to call out a few highlights of programs coming on. This is by far not a complete and extensive list, but starting in January, we're going to be adding a second story time for the little kids, so there'll be one on Wednesday evenings as well as one on Thursday mornings. We're starting a pause for reading program where kids can practice their reading skills to a certified therapy dog who's a very non-judgmental and engaged listener. We've got an animal myth crackers program, not to be confused with Mythbusters because that is a proprietary term, where we'll be learning all about different animals. Are owls truly wise? Do turtles really come out of their shells? The Howell Nature Center is coming and bringing a variety of live animals that we'll get to see up close. For those folks a little bit older, we have some no-sew scrunchies for the teenagers because scrunchies are back if you lived through the 80s and 90s. Who knew? And then for the grown-ups and for all ages, we are starting a monthly movie matinee. We have a gift wrapping night on Thursday, December 19th. So if you want to wrap all of your presents away from prying eyes or just with lots of table space, come by the library. We'll be providing the gift wrap bows, tape, and tables. And then finally, for adults, we have a paper wreath making program. If you've ever admired the beautiful paper wreath behind the circulation desk at the library, you can learn how to make your own. You do need to sign up for that one in advance because space is limited and supplies are limited. We're having a Wayne native and world traveler come for a program called Words, Wanderlust, and Wayne. Phil Cousineau, who is a professional writer, world traveler, and Wayne native, is going to come talk about growing up in a world of words and how the library has influenced his career and life. We've got a variety of different programs in February for Black History Month, including African American genealogy and a program from the Detroit Institute of Arts on African American art. So again, this is by far not all of the things that we've got going on for December, January, and February, but it's a sampling of some of my favorites, so please check it out and let me know if you have any questions.
You want to tell us about the fire?
About the what?
The fire
The fire?
place?
Oh, not yet.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Mills?
Keeping with the theme, I'm not going to do a Centennial Minute tonight. I'm going to tell about the programs that the Wayne Historical Society is doing in 2020. In January, we have Adam Oster from the Library of Michigan. He's going to do a presentation on Eloise, the Wayne County Poorhouse and Farm. In February, Nicole Conklin, our president, is going to do the history of greeting cards. Daniel Mason, who's an historian of the Detroit Metropolitan Airport is going to talk to us about the Women's Army Service Pilots at the Romulus Airfield, which is Detroit Metro, when the Army took it over in World War II. Michelle McClellan from the Bentley Library at the University of Michigan is going to share their holdings on the city and village of Wayne in Nankin Township. In May, Paul and Ginger Cook, who were introduced in an article in the Dispatch recently, they're going to answer your questions and tell you everything that you always wanted to know about dollhouses. In June, we have Deborah Reed from the Henry Ford. She's the curator of agriculture. Is going to talk about life on the farm during industrialization in the late 1800s. In July, Anthony Rusidlo will return to the museum, and he's going to present on the 20th anniversary of the new Woodward Avenue Dream Cruise and the Ferndale Emergency Vehicle Show. In August, we'll have our annual ice cream social, as well as we will celebrate with the Wayne Business and Professional Women's Club being featured 100 years of women's suffrage. In that voting rights amendment went into effect in August of 1920, giving women the right to vote for the first time, and here we are 100 years later. In September, Hank Johnson from the Norwayne Citizens Commission will do a presentation on one of our larger planned subdivisions of the greater Wayne area called Norwayne. In October, we'll have our annual cemetery walk. We'll return to West Lawn Cemetery at Merriman and Michigan Avenue West. And our monthly program will conclude our Eloise series with Tyler Mall talking about Eloise, the sanatorium, and asylum. In November, we have Larry Green, who is going to present on blacksmithing and tell us all about his grandfather, Wayne's very own Bert Green, who was a longtime blacksmith in the village of Wayne. And then in December, we again return to Holiday Night at the Museum with the community tree lighting. Thank you.
Other than wishing everybody a happy Thanksgiving from the administration and staff, that'll conclude our report.
Thank you.
Public comments for matters not on the agenda pursuant to the Michigan Open Meetings Act and the enacted procedures and rules of City Council. Now is the time for public comment. Any questions will not be answered this evening, but the appropriate person will make their best effort to respond by the next council meeting or as soon as possible, provided you state or leave your contact information with the city clerk. Approach the podium and state your name. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Anybody on my left? Do you have anything tonight? Anybody on my left? Kathy?
Kathy Rockwell. I was unable to attend the study session because I had a procedure the day before. I thought that at the study session, you weren't able to ask questions after the meeting. I understood that happened the other night. And then a gentleman in the audience asked about the auction and how it went. And I believe city manager answered that question. Could you answer it again tonight or next week for us? Next week would be fine or whatever. Thank you very much. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Anybody else on my left? On my right? In the back?
Hello, my name's Yelly Von Scott. I'm the film producer for The War on Vets. I think I met you at the last meeting. I just wanted to take this moment to say that the project is going really well. I am launching this documentary here in Wayne, Michigan to honor military men and women. And I just wanted to say, in case you don't know me and you would like to let your voice be heard on this documentary, please approach me at any time. I'm very approachable. And this isn't my documentary, it's everyone's documentary. So I welcome all the input, whatever voices want to be heard, or questions, comments, all that sort of thing. Thank you very much for hearing me.
Thank you. Anybody else have a? No, Ray, go ahead.
I wanted to say hello, everyone. From work at Community Living Services, but in Wayne, I support Wayne. I also support Westland, and as an advocate. And I want to talk a little bit tonight about how the ambassadors program is coming along. I'm on that work group as a chair, and right now we got 23 ambassadors out there. This card right here is smaller now, and I'm going to meet with Lisa next month, Ryan, and I'm also taking this to the road. And very important about mental health, because a lot of times people are in denial. People don't know where to go. People don't, that's where resources comes from. It can be from a lot of things. And I want to, just leave a phone number, because sometimes, the holidays are coming. There's one thing I want to say to people: let's be kind to one another, and let's respect other people. Let's respect everybody. Because sometimes you don't know what the person's going through. The person might be having a bad day. And, a lot of times, you hear it on TV about this 24-hour number. I'm going to leave it here. The 24-hour number is 1-800-241-4949. So that's what the new name is called, DWIHN. It's called Detroit Wayne Integrated Health. And I like that. And it's about your health. It could be from a different lot of things. It could be from substance use. It could be from people with disabilities, autism, a whole lot of different where we support from. It's a big broad band of mental health right now. So it covers a lot of things. So I am right now reached out to the city of Redford, had coffee with the police officer down there. Westland's having coffee hour, and I'm going there too. And of course, I know some of the officers down there, and they really support me about this, and I support them too. So they're doing a good job. And also, Wayne Police is doing a good job too. We have to recognize they can't be everywhere. So one more thing I was thinking about, I'm helping them out with Toys R Tots at Target this year, 29th of November, from 12 to 4. I really enjoyed it last year. It made me feel like we're part of the community, and that's the way it should be. Partnership with the police department, helping them out and helping kids, with toys, because a lot of times the kids don't have toys around Christmas time. So I think it's great what they do. Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Judy Pullins. I live in Newberry Square. I was just giving you all a little bit of an update. I got some brand new windows today. I haven't been able to open my windows in over 3 years, and I got windows. I'm happy. Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay. Go ahead and move the agenda.
Item number 7, items for the next agenda.
Okay, move the agenda.
Okay, item 8, consent calendar. 3 items under the consent calendar this evening: Wayne Planning Commission minutes of October 8th, 2019, Wayne Downtown Development Authority minutes of October 9th, and Wayne Public Library minutes of October 9th.
Move to approve.
Second, Wagner.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Comments from members of City Council.
Councilman Wagner?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Councilman Dowd?
Thank you, Mayor. Just one brief thing. I just want to say thank you to council and the mayor for acknowledging Diabetes Awareness Month. I know it's a little late. It's not, we're seeing this at the end, but 1 in 8 people suffer from diabetes, and I'm that one person on council that suffers from it. So I can tell you that it's serious and real, and it's not something that you can ignore. It's something that you have to take very seriously, being the statistics that Tina read off are very serious and eminent. So I'm just newly
diagnosed with diabetes, and I'm already escalating to a point where it's very serious. So, thank you, council. With that, I'll pass.
Councilman Miller?
Thank you, Mayor Racy. A few things here. First of all, I want to let the residents know that you can now go ahead and call up the city clerk's office and get yourself a absentee ballot that's indefinite for all the upcoming elections, as we spoke earlier about some of the ballot initiatives going on. Also, I want to speak about the November 30th downtown Wayne Small Business Saturday shopping event. I want to point this out. Support our local businesses and also all our neighborhood, in our neighborhoods, businesses as well. Also, I wanted to mention is that on the holiday night at the museum is upcoming on December 7th between 6 and 9. And it is a very magical evening for us in this community. I've been to a few of them over the past few years, and it's really wonderful. Lastly, I want to thank the city manager for bringing up the September 3rd meeting. The email that was titled Correction of Minutes, attachment of the September 3rd minutes, I compared that with my board packet September 3rd minutes, and I could not find what the correction was. If I could please, at your earliest convenience, find out what we needed to correct and what did we correct it with. And also, if we could, it'd be important for us as a council to know what we are correcting on the agenda. And that's why I'm asking that question. And lastly, I do want to wish everyone a good Thanksgiving with your family and your friends. Some are going to be working that day, and some will be with their families. I hope we all keep those in our thoughts and our prayers on that day. And one other thing I want to mention is about snow emergencies, okay? I want people to understand why it's so important, and I'll tell you why. Because it is a safety concern in our community, okay? When a paramedic needs to get to a senior citizen or a fire department needs to get a house that caught on fire at 2 a.m. in the morning, we pay the DPW to clear our streets from curb to curb. It is really not too much to ask for us to get our vehicles off for a little bit of a time to clear these roads so that they are safe passages for everybody. That is the reason why, folks. It's not to make it difficult for others. It is to make it safer for others. And with that, I'll pass.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Skiff?
Thank you. Councilman Miller kind of took some of the things I was going to talk about tonight, but that's okay. I can add to it a little bit.
Absolutely.
So the Wayne Main Street is hosting the small business November 30th, as he has said. That and also Santa will be at State Wayne from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. on the same day. Both events are free, but you do have to register. So you can go to the Facebook page, and there's a link there that you can register on. They're free, but especially if you want the Visit with Santa, they will have pictures there, and the spaces are limited. So you want to make sure if you want to attend that with your children that you do, or your grandchildren, that you do register for that event. Also just wanted to say, once again, great job, No Sereni Strategies Group, on your work and getting the reimbursement for our cyber assessment. Makes me feel a little bit better about voting for it. I took a little hit on that, so thank you so much. And just in the spirit of our Thanksgiving resolution, I just wanted to let everybody know, just wanted to say thank you to all the residents who reach out to me for their concerns. I really do enjoy serving you and helping you in any way that I can, and I do take your concerns seriously. So I just want to say thank you. I am grateful for you. And with that, I'll close. Thank you. And happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Thank you.
Councilman Webster?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to add on to what some of the other council has said and wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, whether it's with friends, family. Hope you all enjoy it. I wanted to follow up on Pack 247, we did our scouting for food a couple weeks ago. We actually collected 500 pounds of food just through the scouting pack. And along with the Boy Scouts, we collected in total over 1,100 pounds of food. Everything that we collected went to the St. Mary's Food Bank. So that's going to help feed a lot of hungry families this season. So I appreciate everyone that put out some food for us to come by and collect. Finally, I want to follow up on something that happened last time we were here. There was a very serious allegation made about our video being tampered with. And to this point, I'm not aware that any follow-up has been done by the person that's made these allegations. So I want to urge that person that if that's what you believe, you need to follow up on it. If it's not what you believe, you need to walk that statement back, because you're damaging people's reputation and it's not right. So if you believe it, you need to move forward. If you don't, you need to publicly walk it back like you publicly made that allegation. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Just going to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Be safe out there. It's a very dangerous night out on the streets, so please be careful, and everybody have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. A few things. There's also a couple other things happening on the 7th. St. Mary's is doing a cookie walk or some event, big event over there during the afternoon on the 7th. And then also the Goodfellows are doing their event in that evening. So there's a lot of Christmas things happening on the 7th. Also, wanted just to remind people that the City Hall is now open from 8:30 to 1 o'clock on Fridays. So far, it's been going good. I think we've done 2 weeks now, and we've seen already an increase from the first week to the second week. And I think it's a really positive thing for our citizens. Also wanted to mention, got a couple more days, if you're a veteran and would like a Thanksgiving meal, turkey, all the trimmings, please sign up. I think there's 2 days left. We just need to get your name and all your information. It's not a handout for people, it's a thank you for anybody who's a veteran. So please don't think of it that way. We want to get as many veterans in the community as possible to just thank them for their service. And I just wanted to mention one other thing. US 12 on the day before Thanksgiving is going to have 50 amp fuse playing over there. And they were huge in the park this summer. And for people who are fans of 50 amp fuse, it's a great thing that they're going to try to do that here. Hopefully that'll be a good crowd of people coming into Wayne the day before Thanksgiving. It is the biggest bar night of the year. And wish them the best in that. That's a big ticket item to bring into our community. And I thank them for making that effort to try to keep putting Wayne on the map with those types of things. More things like this that are happening draws more attention from people outside of our community. All sorts of things together make our community even better. So thank you to Scott for putting that together. And looks like it's 9:30. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I actually had that on there. But I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and please be safe over this holiday. Yes, Tina?
Sorry, I just wanted to make one small correction. We don't have absentee ballots, but you can request to be on the AV, permanent AV list.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's why I
And
wanted
what
to
that
say.
means is you'll automatically get that application sent to you. If you would like an absentee ballot, sign it, return it back to our office, and as soon as we have ballots available, we will get those out to you.
Thank you.
Okay. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And with that, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Dowd.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.